Welcome to Humor Career Insights, the podcast that helps professionals thrive and build meaningful careers in a changing world. We are now on season 4. I'm your host, Batje, founder of Humor, a people strategy and career transformation consultancy that helps purpose-driven professionals design meaningful and impactful work lives. This season, we're exploring entrepreneurship as a career choice, not just as a business venture, but as a mindset for ownership, creativity, and impact. Join us and don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, and share. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Batje's Take, which is a quick reflection, a space where I share my main takeaways from the guest conversations that we have on Humor Career Insights. This is just to help you pause, process, and apply the insights to your own career journey. I would love to hear your takeaways about the conversations that we are having. Please share them in the comments on whichever platform you are listening or watching from, or send me an email on batje@humor.org, batje@humhr.org. Today, I'm going to share my thoughts from the conversation that I had with Professor Lonnie Strickland. I first met Lonnie over 20 years ago when I hosted a strategic management seminar in Zambia, and he was the keynote speaker. Fast forward to 2025, and I'm hosting season 4 on Humor Career Insights, entrepreneurship, and I knew that he would be a great value to the conversation. I sent him an email requesting that he be a guest on the show, and within minutes, he responded with his acceptance. There is a lesson in that, the power of networks and networking, which comes up often in my conversation. Perhaps we should dedicate a season to that. Back to our conversation, which, if you missed, I recommend you catch up on. We spoke about everything from avocados to mosquitoes, the art of growing up, and then some. And if you are wondering, how do avocados and mosquitoes relate to strategy and entrepreneurship? Go back and watch or listen. So the first 2 takeaways for me this week are mostly quotes that I believe speak for themselves. Let's dive in. Takeaway number 1, the story of the mosquito and how it has strategy to get what it needs from us. The key word there for me was evolve. The mosquito morphs in reaction to the environment around it. Ultimately, don't fall in love with your strategy. Takeaway number 2. To be wealthy, you must give it all away. I would rather be known for what I do and not what I drive. This is a direct quotation taken from the Humor Career Insights podcast, a direct quotation from Professor Lonnie Strickland. To me, this speaks about the passion that you have for what you do, the passion you have when you show up in your area or zone of brilliance. And this translates to not what you can get out of it, but what you can give, how you can impact other people to change their lives for the better, and they then can change the world for the better in their spheres of influence and expertise. I was reminded here about a powerful story from season 2, The Power of Storytelling, where I spoke to Tabani Maposa, and he talks about showing up with excellence wherever it is you are planted. That is also a must-listen episode. Takeaway number 3 was a subtle lesson that was masterfully weaved into the conversation. So during the introduction, the professor mentions his wife. And then when he's talking about training on Mount Kilimanjaro, he refers to his walking buddy. And then he talks about when he was walking up Mount Kilimanjaro, he was wearing a tag that his granddaughter had brought him because she was so worried about him and wanted to be able to remotely track him. He spoke about when he was growing up and talked about his mother's support. He also says that it is important to have that sounding board in entrepreneurship. What is the common theme here? For him, that sounding board happens to be his walking buddy. Now, this leads me to takeaway number 3, which I believe is the most critical and one that I stress during coaching sessions. So if you look at all this, there's a common thread in here, and it's the people around him, the people in his life. I'll talk at length about this takeaway number 3 because I do believe it is critical to success. You need a support system that includes an accountability partner or 2 at whatever stage you are in your career. That is my takeaway number 3, that a support system is critical to success in any aspect of your life, whether it's your career or whether you're running a business. This last week gave me practical examples of how important this is. So I was dealing with a situation that needed specific expertise, and I have a brother-in-law who has this particular expertise. He's in this field. So I called him up in distress and I explained everything. He said to me, "Don't worry, I will sort this out and make it go away." The second example was when I was editing a podcast. It was due to be submitted on the Friday, and my editor and I were going back and forth. This was a Wednesday, Thursday. We were still going back and forth. We really had a busy editing week, and I was getting increasingly frustrated, at which point he reminded me, "I'm on your side." And then the last incident, a friend mentioned that, "I notice your husband is very supportive of you. He's always the first one to comment on your posts on LinkedIn." And we shared a lot of other incidences where Keith's support is instrumental to my success. And the last thing my friend said to me was, "You will always be assured of an audience of 1." How powerful is that statement? Listeners, take a reflection here. Do you have a number 1 cheerleader or supporter in your career, in your business, at your workplace, in whatever sphere in whatever space that you are in? Do you have a number 1 cheerleader or supporter? Who is that one person who will ensure that you will always have an audience of 1? This episode is brought to you by Humor, the boutique career and leadership consultancy helping professionals get clear, get confident, and get hired. From CV writing and Clifton Strength coaching to interview prep and leadership development, Humor is here to help you take the next step in your career. Visit humor.org to learn more. www.humhr.org. When I was reflecting on this, I remembered a blog post that I wrote in February 2024. It was titled "The Support System and Your Career," and was about a movie that I watched on a long flight. The movie was Kipchoge, The Last Mile. If you have not yet watched it, I highly recommend that you do. The movie follows the Kenyan World Marathon runner Eliud Kipchoge as he prepares to make history by running the marathon in under 2 hours. There are many lessons in the movie in the blog. I mentioned a couple of them in the blog. You can check out the blog on our website, www.humhr.org. But the one that is relevant to my reflection today is that a support system is key to any success. So Kipchoge had 9 pacemaker teams that helped him run that race. When there was 500 meters left, the pacemakers dropped off and let him finish by himself and take the limelight. At the end of the finish line, his wife was waiting for him and celebrated the making of history. We all need that kind of support system. We need a tribe that will run the journey with us and step back to cheer us on when we succeed. We need accountability partners that will remind us of those goals that we set and nudge us back on track. We need friends that sit at our table and support our dreams over a cup of tea. We need a family that will pull us up when we stumble and celebrate the wins with us. In the Humor Career Coaching programs, we share a lot about accountability partners and a support system when navigating professional goals, whether it be a job search, career transition, layoff, promotion, whatever phase of your professional journey you are going through. A support system is key. As I watched the movie, I'm reminded of a book that I read by Michelle Obama called The Light We Carry, where she talks about a Harvard research that had volunteers carrying heavy backpacks, and it made them stand at the bottom of the hill as if they were about to climb it. Half of them stood alone, and the other half stood with a friend. The research showed that those with a friend perceived the hill less steep and the climb less of a struggle. Therein lies the strength we have in a support system. Another good example of the strength in a support system is going back to the editing week, the hectic editing week I had last week. I was now trying to publish everything, making sure that it's uploaded on Podbean and it publishes to Spotify and all the other platforms in time, and also that I upload it on YouTube. And as I was doing that, I was like, hey, I could make this a premiere. Let me do that. Very quickly, I had an hour to go to publishing it or to it going live. And what I did, I quickly texted my support system, the people that I knew would show up, in addition to my audience of one that I knew would show up. So I texted them, and in an hour's time, I had a support system with me on the premiere, watching the premiere of this video. In an hour, that is the strength in a support system. And if you received an inbox from me and you joined, now you know you are my support system. And if you received a text from me in your inbox asking you to join me, now you know that it was targeted. And practically, 90% of the people that I texted joined. And this was less than an hour. Back to the blog that I wrote in February 2024. That blog was dedicated to my friend, the late Celesile Moyo, who sat at my table and I at hers, who supported me through the bad and celebrated with me through the good, who, when I started my coaching business, was one of my first clients, whose last act of kindness to me was to support my coaching business through a referral. My table is so much poorer without her sitting at it. Friends, listeners, ensure that you have a support system, and you must know who that support system is. Thank you for joining me today on Batje's Take. Until next time, stay inspired.